What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3, where this is going to be the last match of the American Division. We got Not Today currently holding a 1-0 lead over their opposition, Union Gaming. Here on HeflaTV 2, we're going to be bringing you the action. I'm Mike Loris. I still have Grandis here. What do you think about the last game, man?
Last game was just such a dominating performance coming out from Not Today. Union Gaming just never found a foothold at all. Like in all of their lanes, they didn't lose flat out, but they didn't win either. Like they were all at a disadvantage, even though in the beginning it was slight. That just snowballed for Not Today so heavily, despite not ever putting together like that huge wombo combo with the Ravage as well as the RP. It didn't matter because every time they used those spells, they were able to clean up a couple kills, and that's all that Not Today needed. And Union Gaming, they hardly got any map control at all, and the map control that they got only lasted temporarily. Not Today just looked incredibly strong, and the PA was super fat, and with the Bloodlust as well as Empower behind him, the Phantom Assassin just couldn't be stopped.
And Not Today. They usually are known for playing that very aggressive style. With the Phantom Assassin, it wasn't clear that they were going to play super aggressively, but hey, if your Phantom Assassin gets that much of an early game start, then you could pretty much do whatever the hell you want. And what she wanted included killing Dazzle quite a couple of times early on. So, I mean, Dazzle's not exactly the best hero dealing with PA when he's being aggressed upon. Sure, the Shallow Grave is going to buy you some time, but if you're not peeling her off and if she's just constantly hitting you, then Shallow Grave is going to do pretty much nothing. So I wonder what Not Today are going to open up with, and well, it's going to be Skywrath Mage. I would assume Union Gaming are going to pick up a Brewmaster here in some way, and then Not Today are going to pick up a Centaur. That's my read on it.
Yeah. Brewmaster, Death Prophet, Centaur for Not Today. That sounds about right. We're not going to see Terrorblade this game. I think that, oh, never mind. It's going to be an Ogre for Union Gaming. Maybe they pick up the Centaur themselves. It's fairly risky. I like the Ogre pick. It's going to hint at a more aggressive start for Union Gaming. Ogre Magi as a sport cannot comfortably sit back and just babysit a carry. He wants to be looking for kills, if not in his own lane, roaming towards other ones.
Yeah, and also, like, the last time they first picked a Terrorblade, and that's very easy to play around, it's very difficult to play around a Ogre Magi and Death Prophet. I mean, you can kind of play around them, but it's hard to build your comp around it. So this opening from Union Gaming is a lot safer, I would say. Like, it is going to offer them quite a bit of aggression early on. Once again, the Death Prophet, I mean, didn't really do that great last time. Maybe Not Today, just want to do the same exact thing with the Smash hero. Or they could just pull something extremely different out and just know that the Death Prophet matchup is going to be mostly fine. It is going to be an Ember Spirit. Not Today, they're very comfortable against Union Gaming's Death Prophet right now because they did dominate her last game, so why not pick up a hero that's not exactly favored?
Yeah, I suppose so. It's going to be another hero that's going to benefit fairly heavily from the Magnus Cleave if they do decide to pick up that hero again. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Their other hero in the Skywrath Mage doesn't have the best synergy with the Ember Spirit, but the extra slow, as well as the Magic Amp, doesn't go amiss with Ember Spirit. It's in the early portions of the game with the same chains as well as the shield. Does put out a decent amount of magic damage himself, not to mention his ultimate if he does decide to pump all three of the spirits into it. It's kind of similar to, I don't know, like a Queen of Pain ulti, something along those lines. But yeah, right now it's going to be Not Today's turn to ban out a couple of heroes. There's still a lot of strong supports as well as cores that are still left in the pool. I'd say that Earthshaker is more likely for Not Today, and Centaur is probably going to be banned away from them. But in an ideal situation for Not Today, I think they'll get their hands on that Centaur as well as Earthshaker.
Yeah, that's what they're currently wanting to pick up, and well, when you're up against an Ogre Magi, you generally want to keep the ranged support heroes on your side, although pretty sure not Union Gaming are going to get no matter what they want. They are going to prioritize crowd control because they are up against an Ember Spirit. Fire Blast and Silence are actually pretty good at dealing with Ember Spirit, but more is always better. It is going to be Tidehunter Mirana as the first ones. I think Not Today with a Tidehunter pick, they have to be setting up for a Centaur. Otherwise, I mean, it is definitely a dangerous hero, but I think mostly their concern is having a bad matchup in the off lane. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, especially with now the Lone Druid being taken out from Union Gaming. Union Gaming are fairly comfortable with the Lone Druid hero, but honestly, I don't see a great reason to ban him other than that. Phantom Assassin is going to be taken out by Union Gaming, not wanting a repeat of game number 1, although with the Skywrath Mage on Not Today's side as well as the Ember Spirit already snagged up, I doubt that Iwa would be playing on that Phantom Assassin, although it definitely could happen. Union Gaming do get first dibs on this next choice of heroes, so maybe they pick up the Centaur away from Not Today since they chose not to ban it.
Yeah, that would be a good way to start, although Shadow Shaman this is looking a little bit like an older draft. Shadow Shaman Death Prophet can push down towers, and that's going to be the aggressive slant of Union Gaming. They're going to be looking for kills when they can get them, obviously, but also they're just going to be looking for towers. And so far, Ember Scarith Mage, not really great heroes dealing with this. They need initiation when you're dealing with heroes like this. You want to get right on top of the Death Prophet. You want to get right on top of the Shadow Shaman. Elder Titan can do neither of those things. I don't really like this Elder Titan pickup from Not Today. What do you think?
I like the idea of it, but in practice, I don't think it's going to work out for them, and I don't like the pick. It's going to be nice to give them a huge amount of damage amplification. With the Scarith Mage Ancient Steel on top of it, their magic damage is going to hurt, if not from other sources, just from the Scarith Mage. And then also taking away everybody's armor and allowing the Ember Spirit to do his damage that way is also pretty solid. But still, I think picking up the likes of the Sand King, Centaur, or Earthshaker are just all around better, as I think it'll work in a smoother way for Not Today. It's a lot easier to pull off, in other words. Centaur Warner's a choice for Union Gaming, and he's going to work pretty well for them. The aggressive roaming potential of these two supports in the Ogre and the Shadow Shaman is pretty good, especially if they get boots first. On the Ogre would be my preference, or at the very least on the Shadow Shaman, to make sure that they're able to line up those initiations. Not Today at this point definitely are lacking quite a bit in the initiation department, and I think going for a Sand King would be solid here.
Yeah, I mean, with the Scarith Mage, you can't really go wrong. Obviously, it's going to have its weakness being the third melee hero in the Not Today lineup. Union Gaming can't really punish melee heroes that much. Death Prophet, Centaur are pretty good at that, but honestly, I think these two teams should just, like, switch right now, because I think Not Today would be a lot more happy with what Union Gaming have, and Union Gaming would probably be a lot more happy with what Not Today have. It just seems to fit their playstyle more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Although the Sand King or Earthshaker would make their lineup be very melee heavy, instead Not Today. Go for a Crystal Maiden, a very peculiar pick, but if this CM is able to get off a long channel ultimate, the damage coming out from that could be ridiculous. But honestly, I'm just not seeing it. Between the Centaur jumping onto her, as well as the Death Prophet, Silence, Crypt Swarms, this Crystal Maiden is going to absolutely melt. Although, if the Scarith Mage, as well as the Crystal Maiden, are able to do a lot of aggressive roaming early on, it could work for them. But the Ember Spirit and Elder Titan aren't going to be contributing that much to those ganks. So the third hero is going to be where they're going to be focusing as far as looking for those kills, as the Death Prophet and Centaur are fairly self-reliant laners.
I actually really like this Slark ban from Union Gaming. I mean, we saw how devastating Ewo was when he was able to run around and get kills whenever he wanted. And they took precautions in banning out the PA so that exact scenario doesn't happen, but you could do that with many different heroes, Slark being one of them. And as far as heroes that need a little bit, or like the extra mana from Crystal Maiden, and also can contribute early on, Slark would be on the top of my hit list. Ewo still looking for his hero, I would imagine. Ember Spirit should be going mid, so Not Today, they want someone who could play very aggressively, as Ewo and Not Today in general are just that type of team. As far as late game is concerned, I don't really think they have to take it super late, although going for someone like a Morphling right now doesn't seem terrible either.
Yeah, Morphling would be able to contribute a decent amount of magic damage to Not Today, as well as a decent aggressive hero. Doesn't really get online until one or two major items are picked up, but it definitely could work. Also a very mobile hero, which Ewo seems to really thrive on when he has some sort of blink or repositioning tool inside the team fights. His positioning is pretty good, but speaking of blinks, Union Gaming are going to buckle down very heavily in the late game with an anti-mage.
Okay, so this just turned into a very aggressive lineup from Union Gaming into a very aggressively helpful lineup in just buying space for the anti-mage. Their goal is not to push to end the game. Their goal is to push to buy enough space for the anti-mage to end the game. And it's very much so a stylistic choice as what route you want to go for. They could have easily gone for something a little bit more aggressively and then tried to end the game before Not Today really got online, but instead going for the anti-mage, it's a decent enough way to go. I think they have more than enough protection here for the AM, and up against what Not Today have, they don't really have that many hard counters to this anti-mage. They have the Silence of the Scarith Mage and this Frostbite. That's pretty much it. And at a certain point, the mana style is going to come up, and anti-mage is not going to care about any of that. So I actually really like this pick from Union, and wow, Not Today.
Ooh.
They're going to pick Medusa into an anti-mage. This is awfully bold from them.
That is incredibly bold. If they're going to go more towards that late game lineup, I would have liked to see a Spectre a little bit more from Not Today. I don't think it was banned out. And I don't know, the Medusa just seems so lackluster. She'll be able to pump out a ridiculous amount of damage, but Anti-Mage, as soon as he gets a Manta and potentially one defensive item, is going to be able to assassinate that Medusa, because really, the majority of her HP is actually in her mana. It's that 60% Reduction of incoming damage is pretty ridiculous, but without a mana pool, Evo can't benefit from that. And the Crystal Maiden will be nice to sustain that, but not in the middle of a team fight. When Anti-Mage is burning not just 64 mana per hit, but 64 mana per hit plus the mana burn from the illusions.
Yeah, this is going to be very dangerous for Not Today. If it does come to a late game scenario, as powerful as Medusa is, I think the Anti-Mage is just such a hard counter that Medusa is not really going to be able to get off the ground. Of course, she will always have Stone Gaze, and you can never really underestimate that in combination with the Natural Order, but still, it's a dangerous situation for Not Today. It's a dangerous situation for Mihawk. He's going to get stunned up once. Angel's holding on to his, but he's going to land it as well. This should be the first blood. Now with the Swarm and the Shackles, who's going to get it? It's going to be Sidorlin, who's going to be playing the Death Prophet. A nice little start for the Death Prophet, as her and the rest of the team are going to fall back. Let's go over who else is playing what on the Union Gaming side. Bottom lane, Benyaz is going to be handling the Anti-Mage alone currently, but I'm sure that's not going to be the case. Zinder is going to be on the Ogre Magi with Jericho on the Shadow Shaman. Ogre Magi does not have boots first. Angel is going to be playing the Centaur Warrunner up top.
And on the side of Not Today, they're going to start an aggressive tri-lane made up of Smash playing on the Ember Spirit. Crystal Maiden's going to be handled by Misoku with Mystico on the Scarith Mage. Mid, it's going to be Medusa. They find an Ogre Magi inside the jungle. Zender's going to eat a lot of damage, although they don't have no lockdown. For this, the heroes are pretty innately fast. One Fire Blast comes out and will eat through the Flame Guard, but I still think Zender is going to fall. Just a one more right click from Scarith Mage, and he'll be able to find it. Regen's not going to save you there, and it's going to be Not Today tying up the kill score 1-1. Although not as impactful as the first blood, still Not Today getting themselves on the board. Mid Medusa is going to be played by Iwo, and safe lane, we are just going to have the Elder Titan played by Mihawk. 1v1 up against the Centaur.
Yeah, just like to repeat something you just said, Mid Medusa is going to be played by Iwo. I mean, they had Smash do a very good job against the Medusa with the Mag, but I don't know. I actually have never seen a Medusa versus a Death Prophet matchup, and I don't think I will again for the foreseeable future. Benyaz in the bottom lane is going to get frostbitten up. There's no silence on the Scarith Mage, so this is just going to put a lot of damage into the AM, but he will blink away. This matchup, just like the last matchup we saw in the mid lane, should be very heavily favored for the Death Prophet, but we'll see if the Medusa is actually able to make anything happen. Obviously, you don't really want your Medusa to be going up against the Anti-Mage, but I don't know if this is the best way to get around that.
I think it's okay. If he was going for Mystic Snake build, which it looks like he is, as well as a bottle, he'll be able to spam the wave decently well up against the Death Prophet, especially if he gets a point up in the split shot. And as far as what we saw last game, I think Iwo is just on a little bit of a higher level than Sunderland. We'll see. I think, in theory, Death Prophet wins this lane just because she's able to spam out the Crypt Swarm and put a lot more pressure onto it. But as far as matchups go for Medusa 1v1, I think it's okay, although not ideal.
Yeah, it could probably be worse, but not worse than this game, I don't think, so I don't know. It doesn't seem the best to me, but over on the top lane, we do have Mihawk going toe-to-toe with Angel. This is kind of not exactly the matchup that Not Today really wanted. I think they were still trying to go for the Centaur, or they were thinking about the Centaur, but now it's going to be Elder Titan versus a Centaur, of course, and that matchup is generally going to be fairly even. Elder Titan, if he does get a lot of damage from the Spirit, could put some serious hurt onto Angel, but Angel always has the burst damage in his pocket, so Mihawk's got to respect that. Really, both sides have to be a little bit cautious, as both sides are capable of killing one another.
Yeah. For now, it's just going to be them trading farm, and the majority of our action should be focused on the bottom lane, although Anti-Mage shouldn't be coming up to this creep wave very much at all without support, and they're going to go straight on the Misoku. Very slow hero, now shackled up, going to be taking a lot of damage. Benyaz takes a lot in return. The Frostbite does come out. There's no follow-up lockdown, however, for this Anti-Mage. He should be able to blink out, although it's still coming off of cooldown. Ember Spirit isn't able to get enough damage before Benyaz makes his escape. The Arcane Bolt's going to cancel the salve, and I think that's going to force the Anti-Mage almost all the way back to base, as he's going to eat through all of his tangos. Now Jericho caught in a corner, going to take through a tree of his own, but the right clicks are going to come out from smashes. In the meantime, Misoku might die a second time, but Benyaz is going to fall. No, he is going to be able to make the way. One more auto attack was disjointed by the Crystal Maiden, who's now running away from the Ogre. The chains will come out, as well as the Arcane Bolts. Misoku juking for all he's worth. The 6 charges from Zender as he goes up towards the high ground. It is going to be, in the end, a 2-for-1 trade. After all is said and done, the Anti-Mage just suicided to a neutral creep, making that trade a little bit misleading as far as the raw numbers, but it's still going to be an advantage for Not Today. And this Anti-Mage is not farming now, and I don't think he's going to be farming ever, but he might be able to farm a hero as Smash is going to be jumped upon. But with Frostbite, I don't think Smash is going to be in much trouble, although he walks back in for the chains, and one more auto attack from the Shadow Shaman will secure that kill. Zender now going strong to Misoku, doesn't have a lot of mana to speak of, but does have one Fire Blast. Will let it loose on a Mystico as they're dividing their attention between these two supports and won't be able to find either.
Okay, so there are two things that went pretty bad for Not Today. Obviously, the second one was Ember Spirit getting picked off after they kind of got away with the free. They were free and clear, and the Ember Spirit kind of turned around, could have used Flame Guard to protect himself and run away. Instead, decided to move back into Union Gaming for chains and ended up getting himself killed. That was error number one. The error that happened previously was the Crystal Maiden, once she just got jumped initially, Smash was hitting the Anti-Mage, and then as soon as the Crystal Maiden dropped, he stopped hitting the Anti-Mage and then tried to keep chasing. So that hesitation from Smash costed him a kill on the Anti-Mage, and the Anti-Mage survived in the end, and he did suicide, but now he's going to go for more. Misko can take a Fire Blast, taking so much damage from this AM. The Ignite's not going to kill, but they're going to try to turn this round into Benyaz. Silence is there, as is the Frostbite. The damage just short, though. The Blinks might be enough. No, it won't be. Ogre's going to chase down the Skywrath Mage. However, he's too slow to actually take that kill easily. Now Jericho's going to be wailed upon by Smash and Masoku. This is going to be 2 kills going the way of Not Today. Smash, Masoku are going to kill that hero off. Shadow Shaman down. Now Zinder still chasing the Skywrath Mage. You can't catch him. He has boots, and he has just more movement speed inherently. So this bottom lane for Not Today is going rather well for them. Honestly, I think Union Gaming's lane should be winning this slightly, but these fights are just so prolonged, and that's where Ember Spirit really shines.
Yeah, definitely. Being able to get the full duration off on the Flame Guard damage, as well as just constantly throwing out the Searing Chains. They're finding initiations where I didn't think they would. The bottom lane, neither of these heroes are farming in the Anti-Mage or the Ember Spirit. And again, the mid lane as well as the top lane are looking good for Not Today. I'm going to chalk that up more to individual skill in these matchups, as they should be a lot more even than this. Currently, Medusa has the lane exactly where she wants it to be. 16 and 10 compared to the 11 and 6 of the Death Prophet, even with the bottle running for the DP. It is going to be a full-on Mystic Snake build for the Medusa with Bottle Pro running.
Yeah, I think if you're a mid Medusa, you have no other options for build. Anything else is just, unless you're up against someone like a Dragon Knight, but even then, having a Mystic Snake for harassment seems worth it to me, especially when they're working with Crystal Maiden's Aura. If you're not casting your spells and spamming them, then you're probably making a pretty grave error. But 3-6 right now, and Not Today find themselves, as you said, exactly where they want to be, with mid lane doing remarkably well given the matchup. I mean, it's even. That's really pretty good. Top lane 19-4 versus 13-6. Overall, the top and mid are more or less a wash, and over towards the bottom lane, Anti-Mage was slightly more CS than Smash, but Smash definitely getting a lot more in the kills department. He has phase boots, and I think this is, well, first of all, it's just a standard item on Ember Spirit, so it's never really bad, but given the circumstances, given this much fighting, phase boots just get so much better.
They definitely do. They're the most cost-efficient damage for the time you're able to get it. Yeah, phase boots are just awesome, especially when they're brawling up against an anti-mage who has no boots at all. Only 350 gold in the bank. Benyaz dying twice is really going to harm this anti-mage's ability to transition into anything later on. Yeah, I'm not sure where Union Gaming are going to be able to make this space for Benyaz to farm at all. Yeah, the Battle Fury, if it comes at any time, it's going to be incredibly late. Potentially, I'd like to see a Maelstrom build coming out for this anti-mage. I don't know. It could be something there, as it scales, in my opinion, a little bit better than the Battle of Fury, and it comes online faster, and you'd be able to farm efficiently enough with it. I think the biggest downside of that item is you don't get the regen, which is nice for sustaining an anti-mage. We'll see. I don't think he's going to become relevant.
And if he does, like, I'm pretty sure Ember Spirit is going to want to go for a Battle Fury of his own, and even if Anti-Mage does target the Battle Fury for himself, I'm pretty sure Smash is going to get that before him, so no matter what, it's a lose situation for the Anti-Mage, and he has gone for the Poor Man Shield. I think just going for Power Treads into something safer like a Yasha is going to be preferable, because even though the Anti-Mage himself is generally wanting to be played late game, you can play a little bit earlier on if you do go for those earlier items, and this is probably going to be a budget game for the Anti-Mage, so a Yasha after Power Tread seems good to me, and then they could just rely on the Death Prophet in order to secure the mid game. That is a little bit risky, but really, I don't think they have any better options, as no matter what the Anti-Mage goes for, the Ember Spirit is going to have more at pretty much all stages of this game, unless this bottom lane suddenly turns disastrous for Not Today, which I don't see that happening.
It could, but it's very unlikely. It would involve the Ember Spirit diving into like a Fire Blast Shackles with already taking some damage beforehand. Centaur up top is falling very low, and Angel's going to be forced all the way back to base, despite having the Tranquil Boots. Yeah, the bottom, or the top and the mid lanes, excuse me, are not going to be very interesting, and I don't think bottom's going to have any big brawls like we've seen previously, or at least the style of play is going to change, but they might be able to find an opening, and if they do, then they're going to go. Masoku's getting in position, but still no boots on this Crystal Maiden is abysmally slow.
Yeah, she'll have that one pretty soon, but really, Masoku doesn't have to be opening it. I think, if anything, UG might be pressured into opening with, a random Shackle that connects or a random Fire Blast that the Ogre finds his range for. And then Not Today are going to be more than happy to take that fight. Again, the Ember Spirit Flame Guard is going to be instrumental in keeping these fights in tabs, and Not Today. They're not going to go in today, but maybe a little bit later, as Benyaz getting dangerous to close the creep wave. Nova's going to hit onto everyone. They're not going to go for Jericho, though. I think that could have been an opportunity for Ember Spirit to pop his shield and dive right in, but instead it's going to be just an awkward standoff right now. Ember Spirit Flame Guard is just going to be huge. Now that it's level 2, you get an additional 150 absorption from that, and that's all the difference. That's pretty much all the nuking power of this bottom lane for UG.
Pretty much, and even though the damage will be stopped from Smash, it's going to allow him to dive a lot more effectively. Silence on the Anti-Mage, but no other follow-up disables. Aim's going to be completely fine. The Scarlet Mage seems really antsy to get his spells off, and in doing so has wasted about 200 mana. But still, we're going to see a little bit of a lag spike. I have no idea what's going on, but I suppose we have time to wait. The game actually started at a decent time.
Yeah, and it's progressing pretty quickly as well. Only 5 minutes into the game, yet we have 9 kills, so, even though it is technically delays, but doesn't really feel like it. Up towards top, Elder Titan is actually doing a lot better versus the Centaur than I really thought. I suppose just the Astral Spirit harassment, plus the fact that you get a ridiculous amount of damage from the Spirit's return, is going to push this lane in Mihawk's favor. Also, I think we haven't considered the fact that Not Today, they're working with Crystal Maiden Aura, and it is a level 2 aura, which is a little bit strange to see. Usually it's just one aura for value and then Frostbite Crystal Nova as the nuking spells, but this aura, the additional mana, is going to very heavily favor the Elder Titan. Literally, he could non-stop spam the Astral Spirit, and the same exact thing for the mid lane. Medusa is going to be able to spam out her Snake as well, so this Crystal Maiden is providing quite the boost to her side lanes, or to her other lanes.
Yeah, I think it's more impactful for the Elder Titan than it is for Ewo, as he's been able to secure his bottle fills, and the Mystic Stake spam is going to not cost very much, as every jump, it's only going to cost 160 mana if he lands on Death Prophet as well as the ranged creep. Still, Ogre Magi is going to be looking for the bounty rune, but it's going to be denied by Mystico as he picks it up for himself, returns with a concussive shot. There's just going to be a little bit of wrath going towards the Ogre that ends up not amounting to anything.
Yeah, poking and prodding, and UG, I don't really know if just playing super defensively is going to be the best course of action right now, because Not Today, they are going to play aggressive right now. Smash behind the tier 1 tower. They're not going to be able to kill off Benyaz when they dive like this. It's too risky, and it's probably just not going to happen, but if they catch Jericho, that's a free kill going the way of Not Today, or if they just have Frostbite. This is definitely a build for Masoku, or a game for Masoku to prioritize Frostbite above everything else, as he is up against an Anti-Mage, but it's over towards mid where Ewo's in a lot of trouble. However, there is a Stone Gaze and teleportation support coming in from the Crystal Maiden. They might want to turn things around. The Nova's not going to connect onto anyone, but they do Frostbite Cinder, putting a lot of damage onto him, but it's going to be Masoku getting focus from the Death Prophet with the phase boost. Now Ewo's turning around for just a little bit as well. It's going to give a double kill to Union Gaming. Zinder's not going to die to towers. No, wait, he will. 13 HP, he survives, and then he will teleport out to safety. That was awfully bold of Not Today to try to fight that one after the fact, but bottom lane, they're going to look to maybe continue. No, they won't. They should have just teleported in the Crystal Maiden and then used her to back off instead of trying to fight that. That was way too greedy.
Yeah, it was. The Crystal Nova didn't do, or the Frost Nova, rather. No, it is Crystal Nova, my goodness. Didn't do any damage as they were both in stone form when they dropped it. The slow is nice, but if you're not getting that nuking power, I don't think there's any chance they'll get the kill. There's going to be silence on Benya's bottom, and he's going to fall very quickly. Stick charges or not, he is going to die. Jericho now in a bit of a pickle. Smash doesn't have any mana, but there is plenty of mana on the Mystico, though not the cooldowns to back this up. And the dive comes through. He'll be shackled into the action system, and Smash is going to fall in a heartbeat. As now they're looking towards the Skyrath Mage. He's going to drop a ward before he falls, but I think this is only a matter of time before Mystico is chased down. Fire Blast and then one Crypt Storm will secure another double kill for this Death Prophet, and as poor as the laning stage went for to start out, it's all been made up for in the last minute or so.
Yeah, they're getting in kills on heroes that matter. Of course, Elder Titan is the only one who's more or less untouched by this. Don't really know when he died. That was the first blood, I think, right? Yeah, so he has been untouched for a very large portion of the game. Now they're going to set up for Ewo. There's no Exorcism for this, but I don't even know if they need it. Mana Shield's not on. This might prove to be a crucial mistake for Ewo, although he does have a regen rune. As long as he gets a little bit of space, and he will turn the both to stone. This should be his survival. He pops regen right now, but he's not going to. I guess with the Centaur coming in, there was no hope for him to escape. But that's another kill on a very important hero to kill, Medusa, who has so far not been doing the greatest. Now they're going to go for bottom lane one more time. No Nova or anything like that is going to land. They need the chains and a Nova or a Frostbite. Benyaz is going to be brought down. Or is he? 30 HP. He will survive. Poor man's shield value right there. That's going to buy his escape, and Ember Spirit unfortunately does not have level 6. He cannot give chase. Not today. They're still not doing terribly, but definitely things are starting to fall apart for them.
Yeah, the anti-mage, luckily enough for not today, is not getting very much at all. Currently farming less than Medusa and really doesn't have anything. But this Medusa, after having a decent start in the very early laning stages, ended up dying twice and then is caught out a very awkward spot. Had the Mana Shield been there and maybe just hoping for a little bit more ticks from the regen rune, Ewo would have stood better chances, but still, they find the Medusa at a very awkward spot, relying a little too heavily on the Stone Gaze. It's a really good spell for escaping things like that, but now that Ewo drops the snake, he's almost going to be completely out of mana. It doesn't matter since he does have the regen, which is going to wear off sooner rather than later, so he'd rather use that to its fullest.
Also, just inherently, Medusa is just such a slow hero compared to a Death Prophet who's able to rotate to lanes and actually get stuff done, whereas if Medusa left the lane, she would not be able to do anything unless she gets a miraculous Stone Gaze off, and I don't see that happening, so not today. It's not... They pretty much don't have any alternatives to this Medusa right now. Like, they've committed to this mid lane. Now she can't really leave unless she wants to switch lanes with the Elder Titan, but I don't really think that's going to be the smartest move either. So not today. They kind of have no other choice but to stay the course, and this course is slowly falling apart for them. However, they're going to look to redeem it now on the bottom lane. There are 3 levels of chains in the Ember Spirit. I don't really know if I like this build. I think I would rather have the Flame Guard, but now they're going to open up into Masoku, who's actually going to be baiting in for Smash. He does get hexed up, but it's going to be Jericho to get slowed more. With the chains as well, Stampede is not going to do anything as Jericho is going to try to disable Smash for as long as possible. In the meantime, Masoku does die to the Anti-Mage. That's a 1-for-1 support for support. Is there going to be anything else? They do have the Elder Titan rotating in, but I don't think he has a Stomp. He does have 1-point Stomp, actually. If it lands, this could be a nice setup, but he's not going to land it. It's very hard to do so. That's just going to be a 1-for-1 in the end, unless Mihawk runs into Zinder. He does, but they can't get anything off of that. Yeah, it should just be about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit better for Union Gaming. The Anti-Mage is saving up a lot of gold, and I think the 1-for-1 trade is going to be nice for them. Although now they're putting a lot of pressure on this tier 1 tower down in bottom with the rotation coming up from Mihawk. At the same time, Exorcism's taking their tier 1 tower in the safe lane. Glyph comes out from both sides, as these towers are probably going to fall first on the Dire side, and then they're going to rotate down towards bottom. Although no TP on the Centaur, he wants to be saving up for the Blink, and Death Prophet TP still on cooldown. It looks like it is just going to be a straight-up trade.
Benya so wants in on this bottom lane, but it's dangerous. If he blinks in and tries to deny, it's definitely not going to be worth it. They will jump forward. They caught sight of him, and they're going to jump in, but he does jump out. Now Misko's going to get hit with the Fire Blast. Masoku needs some range, needs some movement speed. He has neither because he's a Crystal Maiden, and Crystal Maidens are pretty slow like that. They're going to let them get away. In the meantime, Ewo is going to be forced into Stone Gaze before the Death Prophet really gets close. That's going to buy him his escape. He's trying to bottle up as over in the bottom lane. Masoku now on the run is going to get blinked upon and annihilated. Here comes the Ember Spirit, though, landing a 2-man chains with the Earth Splitter as well. Going to snap back to Centaur Warrunner and kill him off. Benya is looking for a blink out. He's going to blink to the left side. They don't have enough chasing power not today because they used all 3 of those spirits. That's going to be, once again, a 1-for-1. Although it will be still benefiting them. They might get this Ogre. Misko really wants it. Does have Mystic Flare levels, but he doesn't have enough mana to do so. Spirit going to be dropped. That won't do anything either. Still, it's a trade that benefits not today. However, they're losing towers now. Both the top and mid have dropped the top lane to the Death Prophet. And though they have taken a tower of their own, this is really not where Not Today want to be. But really, they don't have any other choice. They've picked themselves such a greedy lineup, and right now they're being punished.
Yeah, fair enough. Evo now has power treads as well as Aquila, so this Medusa is not as squishy as she was before, but right now it's just all catch-up time for the Medusa, and she can't really benefit that much from stacks at this point, as she doesn't have any points up in the split shot, which is fairly standard to see on your mid-Medusas, but it is going to slow down Evo. It does have an Illusion Rune available, and there's just not enough, I don't know, time for this Medusa, and same for the Anti-Mage, really. So neither of these teams have their carries online, so to speak, but this Death Prophet is going to be doing a whole lot of work, as is the Centaur. Blink Dagger on Angel is going to be put to use as the smoke comes out from both him and the Ogre. Looking to find initiation, and it looks like they might be finding one onto Ewo.
Oh man, not again, Ewo. Not again. He doesn't have his mana shield up. He does have backup, but it looks like he's not going to have to worry about that because Cinder and Angel, they're looking towards top. Ember Spirit's a tough hero to kill off. If they get a multicast, that's almost for sure a kill, although he's prioritized Ignite. I don't like that choice, rarely ever. It's going to be Fire Blast, Hoof Stomp, Double Edge, but Smash is still alive. He could get his Flame Guard off and just jump to a Spirit, and he will do so. Stampede has already been used. Now the Searing Chain turn around to Angel. TP is going to come in. It's going to be the Medusa to lead the charge. I don't really know about that. Multicast going to chunk her down pretty good, but they unfortunately can't get anything done. Their lack of disable is really hurting them right now. However, Smash does get to live. If the Ogre Magi had 4 in Fire Blast instead of 4 in Ignite, that would have given a kill.
More than likely, it almost did the job. Ember Spirit surviving with 4 HP. I don't know. think it wouldn't have been a kill with the Fire Blast unless you got the multicast on it. The Ignite does more damage consistently if you're only getting the one tick off onto the Ember Spirit. I think it's an okay choice, but honestly, I don't understand why they didn't just go for the easy kill on the Medusa in mid. It felt a little greedy to me.
Yeah, I mean, the Medusa is a hero that you never really not want to gank. Even if you kill her off 3-4 times, she's still a priority, and she's still going to be a threat later on if you give her too much space. And I don't think that's a problem right now. However, it's going to be a mid lane push. Here comes the Exorcism from the Death Prophet. Instantly, the Stone Gaze is out. It's going to be Mihawk to take the brunt of this, as he will get trapped and he will be brought down. Medusa does sneak the last hit in there, though. That's going to be a tower. For not today. It should have been denied, honestly. Masoku and Misko gonna run straight into Benyaz. Mystic Flare is available. Is it going to be enough to kill off this anti-mage? It's going to do a lot of damage, but level 2 spell shield is going to buy more than enough time to get out of there. In the meantime, Medusa was chased down and she was killed off. Not today. They're just slowly starting to slip away in this game. Still Smash is up top farming, but I don't know. They just need to take slightly better fights because this Death Prophet is running this game.
Absolutely, and the Centaur is holding up his end of the bargain as well. Angel's been able to find some pretty good Blink Stomp initiations in the last fight, and I don't expect that to change. The Centaur pick, it's going to work out for them, and I think Union Gaming have a better lineup for making space for this anti-mage than not have for making space for Medusa. As honestly, Elder Titan, Crystal Maiden, Ember Spirit, and Scarlet Mage, although they have damage in spades between them, their lockdown is very unreliable, and once there's a Yule Scepter, which is online for the Death Prophet, as well as the Manta, going for the Anti-Mage, these cores really don't have to fear very much that they're throwing out.
Yeah, the UG side are just getting so very tanky, and Anti-Mage is going to go for that Battle Fury. Does it have it completed? Courier, no, that is not
even close.
So he's still very far away from it. Ember Spirit hasn't really started, has backed off for the drums. Again, it's a standard build for the Ember Spirit, though I don't know if taking this time to let Smash farm is really going to benefit Not Today in the way they want. If the Ember Spirit was still in these fights, level 4 Searing Chains does do a crap ton of damage, and it probably could have been the difference potentially, at the very least giving them another disable for Death Prophet. So Smash is getting farm, but for what? The next item should be a Battle Fury, but I don't think that's going to have the impact they really want. It's going to be Mihawk in the bottom lane. He does have a mech to reduce some of this damage, but he's taking so much of it. He will teleport out safe and sound, but now the Crystal Maiden and Misko, they're going to back off as well. So clean escape from Not Today.
Yeah, in the meantime, Medusa's jumped on by the Centaur with the ultimate used for both of the lanes, but Medusa ends up getting the better half of that exchange as Angel doesn't really do much damage, but now with the Shadow Shum, they're going to commit the wards. Blink Hoof Stomp, Ewo doesn't have the shield on! It's so greedy to turn that off. You could be jumped at any time, and sometimes reactions just aren't there. Or maybe you don't have the time to react. With a Blink Hex initiation, or not a Blink Hex, but just a Hex out of Fog initiation, that's instant. And there's nothing the Medusa can do as the Crystal Maiden gets jumped in bottom, will survive from that Crypt Swarm, and now they're going to turn on the Death Prophet. This is a very high priority kill for Not Today to snag, and they will be able to do so. Ogre TP's out cleanly. It's not going to be a clean win for Not Today, but with that Death Prophet pick-off, I'm going to say that that's more important than losing a Medusa at this point in the game.
Yeah, because Medusa is more or less out of it. You go for the most budgety build you can go for at this point. Death Prophet is going to be the biggest threat, and I think if you're Not Today, you just concede that fact. Medusa at this point is Stone Gaze and Snake, and that's about it. So she really is going to struggle, and again, it hasn't even come to be that the Medusa has been hit very hard by the Anti-Mage. That's still the hard counter that we have not yet seen because the two heroes just coincidentally have not been in the same lane together, but assuming Medusa does recover in this game and does get a couple of items up, she still won't be able to contribute just because the matchup is so bad.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's going to be a long time before you see the Manta style on the Anti-Mage, but even so, the damage that he's putting in the Medusa is incredibly significant. Yeah, it's just not a very pretty game to pick up the Medusa, and I don't really like the pick, especially how they chose to lane it. The Ember Spirit, I think, was enough for their late game. Speaking of Smash, it's going to be jumped on bottom. They decide to jump away from him, however. They don't have enough damage. Sender, that time if he did have 4 points of the Fire Blast, it would have been a kill. Hey, he still gets him with the Ignite, actually. Wasn't able to avoid enough damage with the jumps. That's very surprising to me. I thought he'd be able to throw another Remnant and get out of that tick damage, but he had 4 Magic Wand charges. Yeah, that's a misplay. He should have lived.
He had a Flame Guard as well. There was no scenario there where the Ember Spirit dies. I'm
Okay.
baffled. There is no explanation except for 3 magic numbers.
I'm not sure if it's that. The magic number that I'm most interested in right now is 1,008, as that's how many viewers we have now.
Oh,
so
God.
After the presentation of this best of three, we're going to have a musical number performed by Mike Loris. Tower down and bottom is going to be taken by Death Prophet as the fight jumps onto Mystico. He's going to be fire blasted down. The Ignite's going to burn him, but the mechanism will keep himself safe. They're looking potentially for a jump now onto the Ogre. They'll be able to chase him down pretty effectively. It can't dive in this Exorcism. There's still enough duration on it, but that's going to wear off sooner rather than later as now they find Angel inside the Scarlet Mage Mystic Flare. They'll bring down the Centaur very quickly. Serpent's on the ground. Smash is not being controlled up. He is going to be stunned, but that's not going to be enough to secure the Ember Spirit kill.
I guess at the very least, this is not today. Finding a kill where their Medusa is not involved, and she's happily pushing a tower. And I think this is going to be a free one for her, although Ogre Magi is going to come in. Ogre Magi is not enough, especially with the Stone Gaze now up from Ewo. He's going to dive this tower, and he will get it, but now I think he's just utterly screwed, although he has an Invis Rune. Invis Rune, man. I don't know. He had an Invis Rune. He was home clear. He was safe.
I don't know, it was still really greedy to go for that. The Fate time, I'm not sure if they would have been able to secure that kill, but nobody has detection on the side of Union Gaming, and that's not something you really expect to have happen. And they already used the Yules. I'm not sure if you can purge off Invis during the Fade time of Invis runes. I've actually never tried that with the Yule Scepter, but...
I think you can.
Yeah. But they'd already used the Yule, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I don't really understand. He had a little bit of a window where he could have popped that Invis rune and maybe just panicked. It does happen to the best of us.
Yeah, so that's going to be Medusa taking her 5th death. That's at this point, it doesn't really matter. I mean, she has an ultimate orb, which is certainly a nice item for Medusa, but that should have been 4 deaths. That should have been Smash with only 2 deaths. Not today. They're really making some crucial mistakes right now, and they're falling further and further behind. They're still not completely out of this game because they have an Ember Spirit and a Medusa, 2 very heavy late game heroes, but they're only heavy late game heroes if you could actually get to the late game with them. And right now, UG, they're all grouped up in the mid lane, and they have a double damage on Death Prophet for a short while. It's going to time out, but they have an Exorcism up in 10. Death Ward is going to be up in 20. They only need one of those for this tower push. Assuming Not Today don't defend this, however, they're going to try. I don't know if this is going to turn out very well for Not Today if they fully commit to a defense.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but for now they're just going to throw out the Astral Spam as well as a couple of the Sleight of Fists, and I'll clear up the creep wave. Union Gaming aren't going to push into the tower, so it's not going to matter. But still, in the laning phase, we thought that the Ember Spirit wouldn't be able to fall behind, or the Anti-Mage wouldn't be able to catch up to the Ember Spirit's farm, but he's currently out farming him. He has this Battle Fury completed earlier. Smash commits to the drums before going for that item, and a lot of intermediate items on top of it. So the Anti-Mage is now farming up a Storm, and Benyaz is going to be able to access the late game a lot faster than the Medusa is able to. And currently, it's still the Death Prophet that's making the space for that Anti-Mage. It's really huge. Almost a completed BKB on the Death Prophet. And with a BKB, there's very little that she actually has to fear on the side of Not Today. The physical damage of the Ember and Medusa isn't there yet, even though they have the the natural order to back it up. Ogre Magi gets blown up in bottom. The Stomp is going to land onto the Death Prophet, and Sideroll is going to be able to get him his retreat. Centaur Stomp completely misses as it splits between several enemy heroes. They'll look for a Sleight of Fist initiation. They find it on the Angel. The Scarlet Mage Mystic Flare is also going to land. The silence comes out very late, however, and he's surviving a lot longer than he thought he would, but the Astral Spirit will be enough to do him in. It's going to be a 2-for-0 trade. It's Not Today are going to find a little bit of something across this map, although their Anti-Mage Union Gaming are still getting some farm across the map, and the Death Prophet didn't die crucially for them. They might be losing a little bit of damage on this tier 2 tower. No, with the TB in from the Death Prophet, they're now actually chasing the Medusa. This feels very risky. They are going to back off as the pause comes out from the Ogre Magi.
Apparently, there's a second of lag, guys, but Not Today. They find a nice little pick-off down the bottom lane. The Ogre never stood a chance right there. He got initiated upon and crushed before he could do anything. Centaur, unfortunately, missing a initiation, and I think that was the first Blink Stomp that we actually saw miss, so he was very tanky still, ate an entire Mystic Flare, had the Cloak and just Centaur tankiness, but when you're being focused down by that many Not Today heroes, you're most of the time going to fall. So Not Today get honestly a freebie. Like, they get away with a couple of kills, and they don't get their Medusa pressured at all. But at the same time, UG, they're fighting with 4v4 also. Like, that's something that we haven't really mentioned, the fact that Benyaz has been avoiding the fights a lot better than the Medusa has, and he has been farming. You touched on it a little bit, but he has not been doing anything with any of the Not Today heroes for just the longest time, and he's very happy because of it. Not Today, they aren't pressuring the Anti-Mage because honestly they can't easily pressure anyone else from UG at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right now we're still waiting for the Ogre Magi to reconnect in the game. Honestly, if it's lag issues, I'm not sure why it's taking him so long to just disconnect and reconnect back in. Hopefully we're not having any router restarts or anything of the sort. Still, it's looking really good for Union Gaming. Their Shadow Shaman has very little to nothing, actually purchased a gem for his team, so they're going to be committing very heavily into trying to seize map control away from Not Today. It's a fairly risky item choice from Shadow Shaman, and I'm not sure if I entirely like it. I would have liked to see him just save up for the Blink, but right now Shadow Shaman with 2 Bracers isn't the squishiest of Shadow Shamans at this point.
Yeah, and right now he has been going for the Hex, so he will have that maxed out soon enough. Really, he just wants to dump all of his skills and then try to run away. So he does have enough initiation, I think, with the Centaur that he doesn't have to pick up a Blink Dagger just yet, although I'm sure he will be going for that down the line. Map control at this point seems just a little more important. You want to make sure that you don't compromise your anti-mage, and really that's the top priority. Right now, Benyez, or Not Today, should know where the anti-mage is. If the ward vision is, yeah, it's just going to be on the edge, so they do know where the anti-mage is, but if you could avoid that as much as you can and keep your anti-mage hidden, then the gem is going to pretty much pay for itself by funneling gold into the anti-mage, if that makes any sense. But regardless, it is Shadow Shaman still contributing to his team in quite a big way, whereas Not Today, their supports are kind of falling off. The Scarth Mage Mystic Flare isn't really being as devastating as it usually is, just because, well, you're up against a Centaur with a cloak, you're up against an anti-mage with maxed out spell shield. Everyone else is fairly vulnerable to it, but no one else is getting hit by it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not even sure if it is that impactful because they don't have any hard lockdown for Yules. Death Prophet can Yules if she gets ulted by the Scarth as well. It's really the supports that have to worry about it, and eventually we'll probably see a 4-staff on one of them to remedy that fact. But for now, the Shadow Shaman as well as the Ogre can be bursted down. It's still not a very pretty picture for them. We are going to... I have no idea. I can't understand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't speak that, guys, so I'm sure someone will translate for the chat, but for right now, we're just going to be chilling. So, Not Today, they're definitely behind in this game. I think the Elder Titan, though he is doing pretty decently, has a lot of farm, hasn't really been pulling the same weight as the Centaur. What do you think Not Today have to do to get back into this game?
Let's see. At this point, it's really hard. They don't have very good pickoff potential. I think they need to start off by getting this gem off the table from Jericho so that they can have those wards out to potentially find a jump onto the anti-mage. Let's see. How would that actually break down, however? They do have a 4-staff on the Elder Titan, so maybe 4-staff into Skywrath Mage Silence in order to catch the anti-mage off guard. There's just not really a great way for Not Today to find those small skirmishes. In a full-on team fight, they don't have the damage. So at this point, I think they need to play passively and just exercise damage control. If they can get a Battle Fury on their Ember Spirit and maybe a full completed item on their Medusa, their hopes of taking a fight are a lot better.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be Anti-Mage still farming up for a Manta style, so he is currently running around with not that many counters from Not Today. He's going to be running around with a lot fewer once he picks that up. He'll be able to split out of every single thing that Not Today have to lock him down, with the exception of Stone Gaze, but I don't think Benyez is going to get hit with that if he's playing smart and if he's not being absolutely suicidal. So this Anti-Mage has pretty much a free pass in this game, and Not Today, like their cores, at this point Medusa would like to be farming, but I honestly don't know if Not Today can afford moving forward with only 4 heroes being active. Like, as nice as farming the Medusa is, they need a 5th hero's worth of power, as weak as that may be.
Yeah. On a lore note, I don't think the Anti-Mage would be affected by the Stone Gaze. If you look at his cosmetics, his eyes are completely covered. I think he's fine.
God, cosmetics are so imbalanced. Valve has to get on this shit and fix it.
Absolutely. Give holes in the blindfold.
He's not even blind in this game. Like, in Dota 1, he was blind because he was the Demon Hunter, and they're blind and not deaf. But I don't even know why you give this to the Anti-Mage. It makes no sense.
Because Burning wanted it so.
Fair enough, and what Burning wants, he usually gets.
Of course.
Oh wait, it even says in the lore, so hideous as to shatter even the strongest minds upon sight. That's exactly what the Medusa does. Pretty much. Like, you're not shattering minds, you're just shattering their body, but this is supposed to work. Benyez, this I call flavor fraud.
Yeah, I don't know. Anti-Mage needs to have Medusa ulti, like as a secondary ult.
That sounds balanced. Hidden ultimate unlocked by cosmetics. Get yours today.
Absolutely.
Only $9.99.
Blink into the enemy team and then Stone Gaze. Perfect.
Alright, well, hopefully Valve doesn't sell out that badly. That'll be freaking hilarious to see the uproar, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But we are resumed, guys, and We're going to see if Not Today can slowly crawl themselves back into this game. Getting Mihawk jumped is certainly not the best way to start. That's a 3x multicast, and here comes the Centaur. Blink Hoof Stomp is all but guaranteed to land. Force Staff a little bit too late, and Mihawk is going to get chopped down. That's pretty much the worst way to begin an unpaused game, and, well, it's Elder Titan down. He has been doing the best, or I think the best, for his team. Having him drop is definitely not a great way to continue. Natural Order is not even maxed out, actually. I don't think that's relevant, but it's interesting to note.
It is. The Echo Stomp, it's nice to get those extra levels into it, but I'm not sure if it's actually worth it. I would have liked to see him prioritize Natural Order. I do like seeing Elder Titans get an earlier point in the Stomp than we're used to seeing. Fire Blast multicasting again onto the Ember Spirit. They're going to be able to get the O Stomp double edge as well as the Crypt Swarm. And that's a dead Ember. Flame Guard wasn't up, and he wasn't able to get to his Remnant at all. Wasn't expecting that. Doesn't even have one up. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't see one on the map either, so Ember Spirit probably was just screwed no matter what. This is the power of a blinking Centaur, and that's why we were so focused on that hero, as Not Today very frequently pick this hero up and then just do exactly what Angel's doing right now. They use him to dictate the pace of the game, at the same time offers you a lot of safety in the Stampede or aggressive power depending on what you want. It's working out so well for UG, and as long as they keep this pressure up, then Not Today, their Medusa is going to continue to be an irrelevant hero. Exorcism is now up. They use the Serpent Wires for taking the top lane down, and Benyaz is just constantly pushing that. I think they could group up as 4, maybe even 5, and push down this middle lane, as in the meantime, Zinder is going to get turned to stone trying to Fire Blast Medusa. That Mystic Flare is going to do literally no damage, but it doesn't matter. They got the kill anyway.
Yeah. Just a note for any of you that don't know, the Medusa ultimate when it turns you to stone gives you bonus physical damage and completely gives you magic resist. So that Mystic Flare actually did nothing. Jump in from the center, instantly silence over from the Skywrath Mage, and now slow it up, going to be eating an Earth Splitter for his trouble if he doesn't get out of there, and it isn't going to clip onto him. Angel's going to survive, but he was hoping for more. Now Center Ultimate deployed to get everybody to safety. It's going to be a clean disengage from Union Gaming, although they spent the Exorcism for it. Oh, jump in from the Ember Spirit. Isn't able to get Jane's. No, what the side of fist he is, and jumps forward, gets the Invisibility Rune as well as the Death Prophet kill. Well played by Smash.
Yeah, that was playing the distances very well for him. They end up losing the tower regardless, however, and I don't think Not Today's crackback is really going to be doing that much. They might run into the Centaur, but killing him off is going to be extremely difficult, if it's possible at all. So I guess Not Today do get something out of it, and it looked like they weren't going to get anything, so you have to be happy about that fact, but still, it's definitely not enough. They can't afford to be making trades like that just because they need to have nothing but wins, or trades that vastly favor them, as opposed to trades that just slightly favor them.
Right now, it is going to be Smash pressuring the tier 2 tower in bottom, but the Anti-Mage now with the Mantis style, this Medusa is unlikely to be able to get anything done at all. The HP that you see is pretty much the HP you're going to get in this game, and 1100 is fairly lackluster to an Anti-Mage that's blinking on you with the Mantis style as well as with Bloodlust. Not doing the most damage, but it's definitely going to be enough in the team fight if they get any lockdown. Blink forward from Benya as he's rushing after the Crystal Maiden, as the rest of his team might be able to find something else. He's going to change focus on the Elder Titan. Blink is going to be available as now he's going to run around. The jukes is coming out from Mihawk. The attempted TP is going to be cancelled by the Mana Void. A very risky move from Mihawk, looking for the stop, going to be denied by the Fire Blast. Multicast on the Ignite won't be relevant, but Ogre Magi is going to secure the kill.
And up towards top, Ewo messing around with Death Prophet. Death Prophet just trying to bait out that Stone Gaze. Will get turned to stone, unfortunately for her. It's not really going to matter, as Medusa does make a clean escape, but still, she's not actually getting that much done. She's actually, wow, found enough gold for a Yasha and a Linken's here. This is honestly not too bad. I thought she would have a lot less, but apparently just playing PvE gets you a lot of gold these days, and Medusa is actually going to be kind of relevant in this game, maybe, if she's very lucky. But still, I mean, Anti-Mage is just... He has a Manta style. He's not going to stop this. Medusa's not going to stop this Anti-Mage.
No, definitely not. And as nice as having a Linken's is for your Medusa, Ewa's not going to be hitting hard for a very long time in this game. And although he might survive a little bit longer, I'm not really liking these item choices coming up from the Medusa. The Yasha is fine into the Manta style, but I think the Linken's just doesn't really serve very much of a purpose this game. It'll block the Fire Blast initiations from the Ogre, which is nice, as well as the Mana Void from the Anti-Mage. But they have Yules to pop it, as well as plenty of spells from the Shadow Shaman, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's going to accomplish enough to warrant the 5,000 gold that's been pumped into the item.
Well, what's done is done, and we'll see if Ewo can actually make anything happen. He's going to start by getting his dragon stolen by Smash, and they're going to wrap around for what seems like Benyaz's Anti-Mage. They need a Force Staff and a Frostbite if they're going to kill him off, but they get nothing. They open up with an Earth Splitter? Really? That seems pretty terrible, and it was pretty terrible. In the meantime, top lane, it's in full breach. Death Prophet, we're ready with the Exorcism up. Going to take a little bit of chip damage from the Ember Spirit as he does jump forward, but the BKB is going to buff all of that out. Now they're going to get silenced up as Angel's going to charge forward. Stampede will annihilate the Scarith Mage. Serpent Ward is now on the floor, and Not Today can't really afford to fight into this. Ewo's in the middle of everyone, going to turn quite a few heroes to stone, but will that actually matter? The Anti-Mage is in the area, will burn very quickly Mihawk mana, but he will just jump forward and kill off the Shadow Shaman in a hurry. Now Ewo is going to be target focused. His mana pool is not really going to hold once Benyaz turns his focus, and he will get blown up by the Mana Void. The Raxes have already been taken as well. Not Today with only 2 heroes available. They get a Rax deny, which I suppose is a little bit nice for the Ember Spirit, but still, they lose top Raxes, and UG, they only lose a Shadow Shaman. That is such a great exchange for UG.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-3 trade, and the Shadow Shaman dying is honestly negligible. He already dumped his entirety of spells, and the Lincoln Sphere was nice for the Medusa. I think it blocked an Ether Shock, but that was about it. The Hex still came out. Everything from Shadow Shaman is going to proc that Lincoln's, and almost instantly too. Medusa wants to be able to sit in the middle of the fight and continue right-clicking. That just wasn't the case. And even if the Medusa was able to right-click, it wasn't enough damage. And once Benyaz decided to focus on that Medusa, it was all over.
And they also previously used the Earth Splitter in an attempt to catch the Anti-Mage, which is never going to happen, by the way. So I don't know if that would have been relevant to save their Raxes. Maybe it would have gotten a kill if they had Earth Splitter available there, but either way, Not Today. They don't fight with their full strength, and they end up losing Raxes because of it. And now I think UG, they could go for Roshan fairly easily. Anti-Mage is actually going to straight up go for a Butterfly. It's not the item I really expected, and I think it is actually not the best item. I think Heart should just be better, but either way, he's getting a lot of net worth. They could go for the bottom lane tier 2. They could just go straight mid. They will have Serpent Wards and the ultimate for the Death Prophet shortly, so no matter what, it should be UG looking to make a play somewhere around the map, and they took the last fight so convincingly that I can only imagine the next fight is going to be just as convincing, if not more so.
Yeah, pretty much. Right now, Union Gaming are looking incredibly strong. The Ember Spirit does have his Battle Fury as well as a crit, and is doing a decent amount of physical damage, especially when the Elder Titan Aura is applied, which is now maxed out on Mihawk. But still, it's not enough. The control is just not there for Not Today. They need more. They need a way to catch out this anti-major, control him any way inside the team fight. They do have 2 roots to hold him in place, as well as the silence, but if he times his Manta well, he should be able to get out safely. Zinder, not so much. He's going to cut out with the Frost Blast, as well as with chains from Smash, and that's going to be a dead Ogre. Very unfortunate for him to be caught out there, but it's only a support pickoff, which is not going to redeem that awful team fight that Not Today had earlier, or even come close. Right now, it's going to buy a little bit of room for them to farm, but even then, not very much. Roshan still hasn't been attempted by either team. Union Gaming would probably have to commit an exorcism in order to take that comfortably, but they still could do it. The Anti-Mage is flexing his muscles. There's nothing they can do about this.
Yeah, he's going to have his Butterfly pretty quickly. He will be burstable by Not Today, since Ember Spirit, for the most part, with his Sleight of Fist, doesn't really care about the evasion, and Medusa, as long as she's attacking someone not Anti-Mage, is not going to care about the evasion either, but still, it's going to make his illusions hit very, very hard, and they already hit pretty hard. Just having the Manta Style and level 4 Mana Break is a lot more than normally illusions do get, so extra value there for the Anti-Mage, I suppose. It doesn't really matter, honestly. Like, he's so far ahead, his team has so much control in this game. Jericho's going to get jumped over towards mid. They're both going to hit with the chains. That's going to be death to the Shadow Shaman. They might even farm up these wards as well. No, they're just going to make a clean escape. They're going to get a 1 kill, and that's it. Although Smash might be in a little trouble. He's going to not get Fire Blast. They lose sight up at the high ground, but they all get silenced. Now they have to just run. Stampede is going to charge forward for UG, but they're not going to catch anyone. In fact, the Death Prophet might be chasing a little bit too aggressively. Going to use herself up into the air and dispel that Frostbite. Now Angel's going to want in, but he doesn't have a Force Staff. He will not be able to get in. That's going to be everyone from Not Today making a clean escape after getting that kill, which is, I suppose, very nice, but again, just not good enough, as Benyaz has been relatively untouched down this bottom lane. He's going to split that one out, and the rest of UG, it should be an objective for them. I don't know what it's going to be, but maybe Roshan. It looks like they're setting up for Roshan.
Yeah, it seems that is the case for Union Gaming. Yeah, even though Not Today are getting a little bit more than I thought they would, it's still not enough. Their Medusa's working towards a Manta Style, which will be a nice step for Ewo, but I'm not sure any amount of items are really going to comfortably put this Medusa into this game. The effective HP that you usually see from a Scotty Medusa is pretty ridiculous. They find themselves an Angel, and Angel's in a bit of a trouble. He can go ahead and look for a turn, or turn away from the Stone Gaze, rather. He pops the Pipe, which will delay a little bit of his damage. He gets the Stomp off onto Smash, and is trying to escape. The Mystic Snake is going to land to him, as well as Benyaz. The Arcane Bolts are going to fly, but the regen coming out from the Pipe, as well as the Blink Away, I think is going to keep the Centaur Warrunner safe, and he'll TP back to base for good measure.
Oh, he's getting hit by the bolt before he teleports back, but he does make it out regardless. Not Today, just falling short a hasted centaur is damn hard to keep track of, especially when he has this much magic resistance. So Not Today are unfortunately going to walk away from that without anything. They're going to look towards mid, however. No chains are going to land. They're going to connect on the last two creeps alive. Kind of unfortunate by the Ember Spirit, but hey, that's the price you pay when you pick the hero. Butterfly now completed on the Anti-Mage, and UG have actually used Exorcism for something. Was that just for a fight? That didn't happen?
I honestly have no idea. It looks like Death Prophet was just farming with it. I don't think that actually did any damage to heroes. There wasn't anybody really around the Death Prophet, and I assume it's just a misclick.
Right, well, that's going to slow them down. It could have been a Roshan potentially, as you said, both sides not really willing to go into that Roshan pit. That's honestly where Not Today have the biggest chance of coming back if they crash UG's Roshan attempt, because with Stone Gaze plus an Elder Titan setup, they can very easily get away with that, assuming, everything goes right for them. And UG, their Roshan is pretty quick with the Serpent Wards and or the Exorcism, so that might not be a factor, but I don't know. I think it's still worth trying to go for Roshan. Maybe get a Vlad's on one of your supports, maybe the Shadow Shaman or something like that, and then sit with the Anti-Mage and just have him solo it, because he can do it if he has lifesteal.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. If they really want to commit, they can take it pretty quickly with a Death Prophet Exorcism and or a Shadow Shaman Serpent Wards if they find the opportunity. Right now, it's not safe, as Not Today are looking towards that pit. And if they find out Union Gaming, it could be very problematic for them. It is going to be a go coming up from the Skyrath Mage. Hopefully that was an important phone call. But Mystico is back and ready to go as Anti-Mage resumes the game.
All right, so Not Today. They're still just trying to scrape up enough gold in order to get that next additional item. Smash has his crit. Ewo does have a completed Manta style. So, I mean, they're getting something, but they have already lost one set of Raxes. Right now, they're not really feeling it because they do have some great heroes to counter lost Raxes in that Medusa split shot, as well as the Battle Fury Ember Spirit. So I don't think this Rax is going to be too relevant, except for the fact that it will just be an annoyance for Not Today, and that might force them to come back because Angel and Benyaz over towards bottom. Chains are going to be messed up by Smash. You can't afford to really be making those mistakes right now. Benyaz is going to charge forward with a Stampede. Instantly going to get silenced, though. Jericho's going to jump forward and it'll annihilate Masoku. He didn't stand a chance. Ewo's going to do a lot of damage to Jericho. They're going to jump forward with all the Ember Spirits, and that will going to be enough to kill off the Shadow Shaman. So I guess it's an even trade for Not Today. They should be getting a slight upper edge because of that. Yes, they do. Comeback mechanics in full effect right now for them, but honestly, I don't really know if it's enough killing off the Shadow Shaman. Death Prophet is 20 seconds off of Exorcism, and even without the Serpent Wards, they could make a convincing push happen.
Definitely, I think that's the case. I think the biggest loss now is that Shadow Shaman just purchases Blink Dagger, so the Blink Hex initiation isn't going to be there. As nice as the Anti-Mage Manta illusions are for doing damage to the Medusa, Medusa was able to mop them up very quickly since they weren't focusing directly on her, and even if they were, yeah, the Anti-Mage Butterfly, I really don't like the choice. I think Heart is just, by all accounts, better this game. The armor's not going to help you as far as effective HP is concerned, and as you've already mentioned, the evasion isn't going to help you, but it's going to do a lot of damage to the likes of Skyrath Mage, as well as Crystal Maiden. They're blown up down in bottom. Smash silences, he brought down to the ground, and the Courier is also going to be killed with 2950 net worth. The double-edged secure skill on the Ember Spirit, and he wants to buy back immediately in this fight. He is going to join it back with the Remnant. The Exorcism is going for the, Death Prophet, however. The Centaur going to be brought down by one more crit from Smash inside the Slide of Fist. Currently, fairly even trade for either side as the Ogre escapes with very little HP, but no TP on Ogre. He's going to be awkwardly sitting here for quite a long time.
Still a buyback for the Ember Spirit. He might catch Jericho and, well, forced to use the Serpent Wards in order to try to keep himself alive. The Shackles are going to fly as well, but Smash, I don't think, is taking enough damage from this. Another Slight will kill off Jericho. There it goes, and now he's home free. He should be just fine. He will be. That Courier was holding quite a bit of net worth. 2950, no matter what you lose in that, it's pretty bad. It's even worse since you lose, I believe, completed items. Not quite. Elder Titan didn't have his Shiva's completed, just most of it, and the Ember Spirit didn't have his Daedalus completed either. Actually, that Courier loss wasn't that bad. Never mind.
No, it wasn't. If it made it to the secret shop and then bought the items and then came back out, it would have been disastrous. Double damage on Ewo is going to be nice, but just look at the one illusion. Almost bring Medusa to half mana, which is pretty solid. The bottle charges will remedy that a little bit, but another illusion is going to be annoying for the Medusa to deal with. They'll be able to clean that one up, or actually that timed out. But Union Gaming do know that Roshan is going down. They do have a Centaur to jump in, but I'm not sure if they're comfortable taking this fight. They might try to, however.
They probably can get away with it, and here comes the Ogre. Has an Aghanim Scepter as well. Masoku's going to show his face. No multicast just yet, but he's going to very quickly take a fall regardless. Benyaz now looking for a blink angle in. Medusa's going to grab the Aegis, but I don't know if she could really do much. She does get the Stone Gaze off onto everyone. Not really going to be relevant, however. She's going to stand and fight because really she has no other option, but now out of mana is going to be taking a truckload of damage from Benyaz. There goes the Mana Void, and Medusa's one life is down. She has another, fortunately for her, but I don't think that's going to be relevant this game either. She has a full mana pool, but Mihawk's already down, and Ewo cannot 1v5. There are very few heroes that can, and Underpower Medusa is not one of them. Jericho's going to get sniped by the Ember Spirit. Ewo's still firing. Still, for all his worth, he's trying to win, but he's not going to be able to. That's a double kill for the Anti-Mage. Smash going to do quite a bit of damage to everyone, but I don't think it's going to be enough damage for anyone. Actually, no, he will clean up both the Death Prophet and the Ogre. However, Benyaz is going to come right in for one last swipe. It's a double triple kill in this game. Anti-Mage, the real winner in that last fight. 5,800 gold. Now going to spend a little bit of something, and it is going to be a Heart of Tarrasque in the end for him. He's going to plow forward all by himself. Centaur is going to join the fight, as will Death Prophet, actually. They have a exorcism available. This is going to be Rax's, unless not today mount an incredible defense, and I don't think that's in the cards.
No, I don't think so either. The gold swing for the Anti-Mage that last fight was 2,200. He can now one-shot by the heart and deliver it to him on the career. They force out the Medusa buyback, but they know that Ember Spirit is down for 72 seconds, and there's no way that they'll be able to bring him back in. Masoka's in a really dangerous neighborhood. The center stomp completely misses, and Masoka gets off of the ultimate, if only for a split second. The pipe comes out very late, and Stomp lands on a DP. Right now, they ping out the Medusa, but the Anti-Mage isn't that close. He's going to pick up the heart on the career on the backlines, and now he's going to blink in onto the side. He's going to get the Skywrath Mage, obliterating him with the Mana Void. Although that didn't clip any other heroes, it would have been ridiculous if it did. Now draining Ewo's mana pool with just the Manta Illusions. It is going to drop Ewo to less than half mana, which is going to make this Medusa quite a lot easier to take down if Union Gaming want to go for another initiation. They pop the Lincoln Sphere, but aren't able to get any further disables off. Both the Surfboards on the ground, as well as the Anti-Mage in the base, not today, are going to be hard-pressed to save their second set of racks.
And then with an Anti-Mage on the field and Death Prophet, Shadow Shaman pushing, I think the second Rax is going to spell the third Rax, if not just outright the game. Not today. They still don't have a Medusa who's entirely relevant, although she has been doing quite a bit of damage in this game. She's very tanky as well, considering her circumstances. They're going to quickly lose tier 4 towers, and UG, they don't have any more pushing tools for this, aside from Benyaz's pure damage, but this Anti-Mage is just so big right now. Like, he's almost 6 slotted. He just needs to get rid of the gem and buy something that hits a little bit harder. There's a Daedalus completed on the Ember Spirit, but this isn't a Divine Rapier. This isn't going to be an item that swings the game back into not today's favor.
Yeah, I think at this point, Benyaz just goes ahead, farms with the Basher, and then they can go again for bottom lane. Take the tier 2 tower very easily. Maybe wait for the next Roshan before you push high ground, or maybe just push high ground. You have a 6-slotted Anti-Mage. There's no reason to sit on that for very long.
Oh, getting a full mana pool is certainly going to help. It'll help him blink around and do pretty much whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Unless Wolves, well, I mean, he has a Battle Fury mana regen, so it's fine, I guess. But more mana is always better, I guess, unless you're... No, it's always better. Unless you're completely out of mana and you have an Anti-Mage on the other end. And, well, for Medusa, we already saw how that worked out.
Yeah, pretty much. Right now, Anti-Mage just continues farming away. Full mana pool or not, it's still enough to get as many blinks as he wants in the team fights, as well as 1 Mana Void, which is all an Anti-Mage could want. And so he's going to be happy farming away. Ogre Magi now picking up the Vladimir's offering is going to boost the Anti-Mage by quite a bit. In the base damage department, it's going to be about the equivalent of an extra Claymore, as well as just giving that lifesteal to the Anti-Mage. It's a really good value pick, and I'd like to see more teams with or without ranged or melee carries picking up that item. It's going to be an easy tier 2 tower for Union Gaming, and Benyaz now has enough gold to pick up that Basher, although he'd have to forego buyback, which I'm not sure Union Gaming really want to do. It's still completely their game. Even though Not Today can hold out against these lane mega creeps indefinitely with the Ember Spirit Medusa, they can't do so while fighting Union Gaming. Obviously
just while fighting Benyaz. Like, you slap the Bloodlust on him, and the Anti-Mage is going to kill everybody. And if you look at the vision from Union Gaming, they have Observer Wards all up in the Not Today base, so they know exactly where everyone is. The Citadel Death Prophet is poking and prodding just because she can. She has a heart as well. That's 2 hearts for Union Gaming. Hell, Not Today probably can't even handle 1 Heart of Tarrasque at this point, but the Death Prophet just making sure that all the lanes are split pushing while the rest of her team just puts wave after wave of creeps into this tier 3. Serpent Ward should be deployed for this one. I think it's about time for them to go. Smash Wand's in, though. He's going to put a lot of damage to Jericho. Not really going to be enough, as it's still the Death Prophet just messing with Not Today. Like, if Not Today try to mount to defense down bottom, they lose their Ancient, and now Ewo is going to very quickly drop. He's going to get the Man Style out. Earth Splitter flies out as well, as does the Freezing Field, but it's not actually doing enough. Zinder might be the only casualty here, as over towards the bottom lane, they are taking Raxes in the meantime. The Death Prophet is now 1v4ing, and she's coming out on top. Raxes are down. And in the meantime, Not Today are on a wild goose chase for a Death Prop that honestly I don't think they're capable of killing right now, especially with Angel stunning everyone. That's quite a devastating performance. Here comes the Anti-Mage to steal a whole bunch of kills. That also happened, but good game has been called, and that means game number 3 is going to be imminent.
Yeah, that Scarith Mage Mana Void was ridiculous at the end, but still, it's going to be Union Gaming striking back. The draft coming out from Not Today, it turns out it actually matters in games. I felt they got a little bit cocky when they came to picking their heroes, and if they just, I don't know, calm down, pick solid lanes, and the ability to control the fights, I think Not Today will be in a lot better situation. As their individual play, especially in the early portions of the game, is on a better tier than Union Gaming, and we saw that this game as well, where their Ember Spirit, despite not having the greatest lane situation for them, as well as the Medusa and Elder Titan, they all came out on top. And if they just, I don't know, pick a way to transition that better and maybe have a fallback mechanism, because the problem with Not Today's lineup is if they ever got behind, they wouldn't really be able to come back very effectively, and we kind of saw that.
All right, guys, this is game 2 out of 3, and game 3 should be coming up very shortly, so don't go anywhere. We're HeflaTV 2. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Grandis, and we'll be right back for the third and final game of JDL Season 3 America.